Have you ever wondered how a single moment can change the course of countless lives? How a seemingly ordinary flight could turn into a life-altering journey for everyone on board? This is not just a story about a plane ride, it's a tale of faith, resilience, and the power of belief. Buckle up, because this is a story you won't forget. Imagine this: you're on a flight, cruising at 30,000 feet, when suddenly, the plane starts shaking violently. The oxygen masks drop, and the pilot's voice crackles over the intercom, announcing a technical failure. Panic sets in. People are crying, praying, and clutching their seats. But amidst the chaos, one man remains calm. He's reading a book, a Quran. His serenity is unnerving, almost otherworldly. Who is this man, and why is he so unshaken? This is where our story begins. It was a crisp morning at John F. Kennedy International Airport in New York. The terminal buzzed with the usual chaos of travelers rushing to their gates. Among them was Jack Thompson, a 35-year-old software engineer. To the casual observer, Jack was just another passenger, dressed in jeans and a hoodie, carrying a small black suitcase. But Jack was different. 2 years ago he had converted to Islam, a decision that had reshaped his life in ways he could never have imagined. Jack was heading to Washington, D.C. for a new job opportunity. As he waited to board his flight, he felt a sense of calm. He had been through a lot: family estrangement, societal judgment, and the internal struggle of finding his faith. But now, he felt at peace. Little did he know this flight would test that peace in ways he could never have anticipated. The Airbus A320 took off smoothly, and Jack settled into his window seat. He pulled out his Quran and began to read, his lips moving silently as he absorbed the verses. The cabin was quiet save for the hum of the engines, but the tranquility didn't last long. A man sitting next to Jack, a burly fellow with a sneer plastered across his face, leaned over and said loudly, "Hey everyone, look, we've got a terrorist here!" The cabin erupted in nervous laughter. Jack ignored him, but the man persisted. "What's in that book of yours? Instructions on how to blow up the plane?" Jack remained calm, his eyes never leaving the Quran. He knew this wasn't about him, it was about ignorance. But the taunts continued, growing louder and more vicious. Passengers began to join in, their fear and prejudice bubbling to the surface. Jack's calmness only seemed to fuel their anger. Then, the plane hit turbulence, violent, bone-rattling turbulence. The cabin shook and the overhead bins flew open. Passengers screamed, clutching their armrests. The pilot's voice came over the intercom, strained, but calm. "We're experiencing some turbulence. Please remain seated and fasten your seatbelts." But this was no ordinary turbulence. The plane began to descend rapidly. The pilot's voice returned, this time more urgent. "We're experiencing a technical issue with the front landing gear. We're going to attempt an emergency landing." Panic spread like wildfire. People were crying, praying, and shouting. But Jack remained calm. He closed his Quran, placed it on his lap, and began to pray. His serenity was almost surreal. A woman sitting across the aisle noticed him and shouted, "How can you be so calm? We're going to die." Jack looked at her and said softly, "Allah is with us. Trust in Him." His words hung in the air, a stark contrast to the chaos around him. The plane continued its descent, the runway lights growing closer. The pilot's voice came over the intercom one last time. "Brace for impact." Passengers screamed, but Jack remained silent, his lips moving in prayer. And then, miraculously, the plane touched down smoothly. The front landing gear had somehow deployed at the last second. The cabin erupted in cheers and sobs of relief. As the plane came to a stop, passengers turned to Jack, their faces a mix of awe and gratitude. One by one they approached him. "How did you stay so calm?" they asked. "What did you do?" Jack simply smiled and said, "I prayed, and Allah answered." This incident didn't just end with a safe landing, it sparked a profound transformation among the passengers. Many of them, who had once viewed Islam with suspicion or outright hostility, began to ask Jack questions. They wanted to understand his faith, his calmness, his unwavering belief in the face of death. Over the next few weeks, something extraordinary happened. One by one, the passengers began to convert to Islam. They had witnessed something they couldn't explain, a miracle they called it, and they wanted to be part of whatever had given Jack that peace. But this story isn't just about a plane ride or a miraculous landing. It's about the power of faith to transform lives. It's about how one man's calmness in the face of chaos can inspire others to seek something greater than themselves. Jack's story didn't end there. He became a figure of inspiration, not just for the passengers on that flight but for countless others who heard his story. But with that inspiration came controversy. Some accused him of exploiting the situation to spread his faith. Others questioned the authenticity of the miracle, but Jack remained steadfast. He didn't seek fame or recognition, he simply wanted to share the peace he had found. In a world increasingly divided by religion, politics, and ideology, Jack's story is a reminder of the power of faith to unite us. It's a call to look beyond our prejudices and see the humanity in each other. And it's a testament to the fact that sometimes the most extraordinary moments come from the most ordinary circumstances. Little did he know that this ordinary flight would soon transform into an extraordinary test of character, one that would reveal the depths of his inner strength. As the plane soared through the skies, Jack's thoughts drifted to the challenges he had faced in life. He had always believed that true strength came from within, and he was about to discover just how deep his reserves of courage and resilience ran. This journey would not just be a physical one but a profound exploration of his own spirit. The flight began smoothly, the plane soaring effortlessly into the azure expanse. The sun beamed through the cabin windows, painting everything in a warm, golden glow. Passengers chatted amongst themselves, lost in their own thoughts, their lives a million miles away. Then, without warning, the sky outside shifted. The once gentle clouds morphed into ominous, swirling masses of gray and black. The plane began to shudder, the gentle rocking motion replaced by violent jolts that sent tremors through the cabin. Fear, raw and primal, seeped into the air, replacing the earlier tranquility with a palpable tension. Panic erupted within the confined space of the aircraft. Passengers gripped their armrests, their faces etched with fear. The turbulence worsened, the plane bucking like a wild horse, the roar of the engines drowned out by screams and prayers. Amidst the chaos, Jack sat remarkably still. His eyes, though reflecting the seriousness of the situation, held a strange calm, a sense of acceptance that seemed to transcend the fear that gripped everyone else. He didn't pray, he didn't shout, he simply existed, a beacon of serenity in a storm of panic. His composure, so stark in its contrast to the surrounding fear, did not go unnoticed. A young woman, her face pale with terror, sat across the aisle from Jack. Her eyes, wide with fear, darted around the cabin, searching for something, anything to cling to. Her gaze fell upon Jack, his calmness a stark contrast to her own mounting panic. "Are you all right?" "Yes, I believe we'll be all right." His words, spoken with such conviction, had an immediate effect on the young woman. It was as if his calmness had somehow seeped into her, calming the storm within. She found herself clinging to his words like a lifeline. Others noticed Jack's demeanor too. His calmness was contagious, spreading through the cabin like a wave, a ripple of hope in the face of despair. People stopped screaming, their panicked breaths softening as they drew strength from the quiet man who seemed unfazed by the chaos unfolding around him. The pilot managed to regain control of the aircraft. The landing was rough, the plane groaning in protest as it touched down on the tarmac. But they were safe. As the passengers disembarked, their faces etched with a mixture of relief and disbelief, many approached Jack. They thanked him not for any heroic act but for his calmness, for being a beacon of hope in their darkest hour. He hadn't preached, he hadn't offered empty platitudes, he had simply been, and in his being, he had shown them the power of faith. Not in a higher power, but in the resilience of the human spirit. The near-death experience had a profound effect on everyone on board. It made them reevaluate their lives, their priorities. The things that seemed so important before now seemed trivial in the face of their brush with mortality. The young woman, deeply affected by Jack's quiet strength, made a life-altering decision. She quit her high-stress job, one she had endured for the sake of security, and decided to pursue her lifelong dream of becoming a writer. Jack, the quiet man who had inadvertently touched so many lives, continued his life as before. He walked through the bustling streets, unnoticed by most, yet his presence had a profound impact on those who took the time to observe. In the park, he would sit quietly, lost in thought, while the world moved around him. His reflective nature was a silent testament to the depth of his character. He remained an enigma, his calmness a source of both wonder and inspiration. By the sea, he found solace in the rhythmic waves, a reminder of life's constant ebb and flow. On a bench, he would sit peacefully, his mind a sanctuary of calm amidst the chaos of the world. In nature, he found a mirror to his contemplative soul, a place where he could truly be himself. He never fully understood the impact he had on that flight, how his simple act of being present, of facing fear with quiet dignity, had sparked a chain reaction of transformation. As he sat quietly on the plane, his calm demeanor spread like a ripple through the cabin. Passengers who were once gripped by fear began to relax, drawing strength from his quiet confidence. In the midst of chaos, his calm expression became a beacon of hope. The experience on the plane was a stark reminder that we are all connected, our lives intertwined in ways we may never fully comprehend. The passengers, once strangers, found a sense of unity in their shared experience. Holding hands, they formed a chain of support, a tangible connection that transcended their individual fears. From above, the city lights below seemed to reflect this newfound interconnectedness, a web of lives woven together by unseen threads. So what does it take to change a life? Sometimes it's a single moment, a moment of fear, of faith, of sheer will to survive. For the passengers on that flight, that moment came in the form of a man who refused to let fear dictate his actions, and in doing so, he changed not just his life, but theirs as well. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time, remember, faith isn't about having all the answers, it's about trusting in something greater than yourself.